gals, and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Hillary, and if you are a returning subscriber, then you must be a crazy Hilly, and welcome back. If you guys like any of the content that I'm putting out, feel free to give a like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It actually helps my channel out so much. And also, if you want any merch or just, want to be part of my Patreon and my family down there, I have all the links down below. I also have an Etsy shop, which, it's kind of just starting out, but if you like wood signs and little felted things, that's also down there. So if you want to check any of that out, all the links are down below. Now, without any further ado, I'm just going to get straight into it. Tonight, we're going to go over the Ghosts of the Angel Inn. And the Angel Inn is one of the oldest pubs or hotels. I want to say hotel, but I don't know if that's the right word, in Ontario, and it is located in Niagara-on-the-Lake, which is one of the most haunted towns in all of Ontario. I have talked about them before. I read from the book. This one I happen to know the story very well because I have been there quite a few times, and I can tell you if I've had any experiences, but you'll just have to wait and find out. So let's get right on into the Ghosts of Angel Inn. So one of the main reasons why this place and this whole town is so haunted is because it was one of the main focal points of the War of 1812, which was a war against the Americans and the English. And of course, the English was us, because us in Canada, we were all English people, right? And America and England don't usually get along, right? They all went over and they were like, no, we don't want to be a part of that. And then we got into some fights over it. And where Niagara on the Lake sits is directly across from America. It is literally practically a stone's throw. Yorktown, USA is just on the other side, and this whole town, it's like a river. There's Niagara on the Lake, and there's a little tiny river. It's right at the mouth of the Niagara River, which obviously there's Niagara Falls, goes down, and then at the end there, that's where Niagara on the Lake sits, and it's right across from America. So it's kind of a hot spot for the War of 1812. Basically, America had a big military fort just on that side. They had cannons in that fort that could waste away the entire town if they felt like it. So in response, the English kind of built their own fort. So we have two forts sitting on either side of this river. So during the War of 1812, obviously there was a lot of stuff going back and forth. There was, atrocities happening because the English were attacking America, and America were coming and attacking us. So there was a lot of fighting. Obviously, it's a war, right? So what happened on this particular night, the reason why the town and the inn is so haunted is because of one specific night. And this night, the Americans they took over the English fort, right? So all the English forces weren't there. But because it was so long that they had been there, they'd, kind of been there a while, and all of the British forces were coming back to take their fort back. So the few Americans that were in this fort decided to flee. And when they decided to flee, they decided to burn down the entire town to send a message like, haha, let's leave, let's set your whole town on fire. Although the only people that were in this town at the time were basically women and children and a few officers from the English side. So when the Americans came and burnt down the entire town, all the women and children and elderly people that were in this town fled into the woods, and it was a cold winter's night at this point, so they all froze to death. So that's part of the reason that this town is so haunted. It has a lot of dead people, a lot of dead things. But before the Americans actually burnt down this entire town, on their way out as they were fleeing from the fort because all the English forces were coming to remove them from the fort, they ran up past an inn and they happened to see a red coat standing there. And obviously, back in the day, the English, they didn't want to know that people were bleeding, so they wore these big red coats. Can't tell if you're bleeding, scary, scary, ooh, but also makes you a giant target because they can see. And that officer that was standing there wearing the red coat's name was Captain Colin Swayze. Now, why was this officer standing in front of the inn, you may ask? Well, this man was in love, and he was in love with a lady. So obviously that's the only reason why you'd be standing in front of an inn when all the troops from America are running through, burning and pillaging the town, right? So he's standing out in front of it waiting for his lady love to show up so they can run away together. And the lady that he was waiting for was actually the innkeeper's daughter. But she never showed up. She never came. So while he was standing there waiting for his love that never showed up, all of the Americans came and kind of saw, hey, there's a red coat in there. He freaked out, so Captain Colin Swayze ran into the inn, and the Americans followed him. So when the Americans get into the inn, Angel Inn, they decide to search it from top to bottom. So they go from the top and they search everywhere. They have all the guys spread out until they finally get down into the wine cellar. And this wine cellar is obviously full of barrels, these huge giant barrels full of wine. So they figure, hey, we must have got him, right? So what's the logical thing to do here? They go and they grab their guns and they walk through and they try to turn on every single wine barrel to see if wine comes out. Because if a barrel is heavy and no wine comes out, then there must be a dude in the barrel, right? So as they're going through these barrels and trying every one to see if wine comes out, they finally get to one barrel where it was heavy, so they turned it on and no wine came out. What did the Americans decide to do? They fixed their bayonets to the top of their guns, and it's like, I don't know if this is like an alert here for any kids that are watching, but they jammed those bayonets straight into the barrel, and then out poured a little river of blood from the bottom of the barrel. Now, none of the English knew what had happened to Colin Swayze, not until well after the town had kind of been destroyed. And when they got back there, they saw him and they found him in the barrel dead because he had been stabbed by a bunch of these bayonets. And because there was only a couple people there that could kind of help out at the time, they just decided to bury him straight in the basement. So they buried him down there, and then after a while, the construction started happening of them rebuilding the house, and they built the inn straight on top of the dead soldier. Now today, this is supposed to be one of the most haunted inns in Ontario, and it is because of Captain Colin Swayze. Not only is he seen walking around, like just wondering what's going on, he's been seen downstairs, mostly in the ladies' bathroom, where a lot of girls, you know, they kind of are going down there doing their business. The door opens, they hear heavy footfalls of a man, and then the footfalls just stop, kind of in front of their door. When they decide to open the door to see, like, hey, like, dude, why are you in the bathroom? There's nobody there. So that's one of the things he does. Other than throwing cups, there's a lot of poltergeist activity that's supposed to happen there. But the people that own this restaurant figured out why these things were happening. And these things happen because of the flags that hang out front of this inn. Now, they have a Union Jack, and they have an American flag, and they have a Canadian flag. And they figured that these hauntings, like all this crazy stuff that was going on in the bar, like pictures moving, glasses moving, people hearing footsteps, all this crazy stuff was happening a few weeks out of the month. And it took them a little while to realize that when they went and sent their flags away to go get washed, specifically the Union Jack, which is the English flag, that's when everything started going crazy. Captain Colin Swayze doesn't like it when there's just an American flag hanging outside the inn. So what do they do to fix this problem? They obviously get another second pair of flags, so whenever they're returning the flag to go get it washed, they just hang another flag. And that kind of effectively settled everything down, and there's not as much things going on there. Now, like I said, I've been there quite a few times, and there was one time where I was going to film the entire thing that happened while I went there, but nothing really crazy happened to me. I went with a ghost box. I never got any voices. Nothing super interesting happened when I was there. So I don't know if it's a residual haunting or maybe I was just unlucky, but when I went there, I did not find anything out of the ordinary, crazy ghost haunting me. You know, nothing like that came. I even kind of came with an American flag to see if it would rattle up the spirits, but it didn't. So that was my experience at Angel Inn. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that Captain Colin Swayze is still there haunting the place? I know I would be if I was 1, looking for my love and she ditched me, 2, got stabbed by a bunch of bayonets, and 3, they couldn't find me a proper grave, so they buried me below the restaurant. Not cool. I would be haunting the place, but you guys let me know. Feel free to leave a comment or like or even subscribe down below. That'd be amazing. Yeah, just let me know. What do you think about Captain Colin Swayze? All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.